Today I am going to inspect and flush this 6-gallon Suburban hot water heater. So I'm going to take the anode rod out here, and then I'm going to inspect the tube down in here. Not the gas tube, but just the chamber here where the flame goes in to heat up the water. So what I'll be doing, I'll be draining that and catching the debris that comes out. It's been about 3 months and since I flushed this last, and we've camped probably a total of 25 days, and about a quarter of those days we've been hooked up to power, so we've used electric water heater, and then the rest of the days we use the gas. So what I'll be doing first, I'm going to clean this chamber in here, and I've rigged this up to vacuum hose to a 1/2-inch tube to stick down in here to vacuum the debris out that builds up in the back. It's like rust particles and other debris in the chamber. So I'm going to go in close so you can take a look at that and see what's caught down there, and it'll vacuum right out easily. Here we are looking inside the chamber. It was really hard for me to focus in trying to do this with my tripod, but you can see the stuff that's collected in the back of this chamber. It just kind of rust particles and other debris that's gotten in there. So I'm going to go ahead and vacuum that out and then show you what it looks like once I'm done. Here it is, all cleaned out, vacuumed out. So I got all the particles out. That only took a few seconds. Sometime I'll pull the outside stuff off of here, just like this. I'll just pull these screws here, pull this all off, this orifice out, and then I'll go in there with a wire brush and clean it all up and do that. So I probably do that once every year and a half, go in there and clean it real well and then put it back together. It's very easy to do. So maybe I'll do a video on that someday. So now let's go over here and we're going to remove this anode. So for this I have an 1 1/16 socket that will fit on this anode here, and what I'm going to do is I made sure the water heater's been off for several days. The water is cool here. I release the pressure that's in the tank by opening the faucets that are inside the trailer to relieve pressure, because if I go ahead and remove this with hot water and it's pressurized, that water is going to shoot right out at me and burn me. So you never want to remove this with pressure behind it or hot water. If there's just pressure behind it with no hot water, the water will just shoot out at you and scare you to death. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to start turning it counterclockwise, holding it steady, and then I'm going to put a bucket underneath here so that the water will go in it, so I capture the water because I want to see all the debris that comes out of it. So I'll set up and put the bucket under it. I'm going to do the best I can to capture the debris that comes out of here. I have 2 buckets set up, as you can see here. So I just go ahead and do that. I got it started. I'll take that off and then just do it by hand. And then I'm going to open this up. It's a pressure relief valve. I'll show you that in a minute. It'll let some air behind it. So now we'll just sit here and drain the whole tank. This is a 5-gallon bucket, so it holds 6. So if the water overflows, it's okay. I want to capture the particles that go in there. And here's the anode rod that I'll show you in more detail in a little bit here. We'll see how much stuff we capture in this bucket. I've had it where I've had a lot of particles come out before, and but sometimes I don't get much. So I'm gonna stop the video and come back to you after this is cleared up a little bit. Here's what I have in the bucket so far. It's not too much. So now I'm gonna go ahead and put this bucket back under there and flush out the tank. And we'll see how much more comes out. Now I'm gonna go ahead and flush out the water heater with this. It's pressurized water, comes in here. This is the on-off valve right here. It has a tube and it's going to go in the tank. And I'm going to have it on. I'm going to turn it around and go in and out of the tank to clean the sides and anything else in there to try and blast out more particles, and we'll see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it in there, turn it on. It's going to be kind of loud. That's not too bad. I hope I'm able to capture this stuff as it comes out, the white chunks. There's a few that I can see coming out. So there's a piece here, just to show you what it looks like. Let me hold a couple in my hand so I could show you after. I'm going to turn it off for a second, let some water run out, but I'm not sure if you can see this, these particles, the chunks there. Not all of it's making it in the bucket, so, because I want to show you that when I'm done. There's a big piece. I'm turning this hose as I do this, so I make sure I get everything. I'm going to turn it off, let it drain out for a second. I do this just a couple times. It's almost clean. I've had it dirtier than this. I guess it all depends on the water that you put in this. Goes through the water heater, what the quality of the water is. There's another piece, another big piece. So I'm going to try it a little more. Now let's see. I think that's as good as it's going to get right now. So let me empty some of this water out of the bucket so we can see what else we caught. So here's what we got. As you can see, it's quite a bit more bigger particles in there. So I feel I got the tank pretty clean. So it's quite a bit. I've had more than that though, like double that. It all depends on the water that you have at the campsite. So something to remember too, if you don't flush your water heater, some of this can get in and plug some of your sink faucet screens and your shower nozzle, and also mess up your toilet from flushing. So you want to keep your water heater clean. I usually clean this more often, but I wanted to show you what it looks like after like 3 months of deposits that you might see. So it all depends on the water quality that you have too. So here's the contents that were in the bucket, and they're dried out. I just let them sit out in the sun and dry for a little bit. And a lot of the pieces broke down and they're smaller because of the handling. But it's very important that you just don't remove the anode and let it flush out by itself, that you use that flushing wand to get all the debris out of the water heater. So it's pretty significant amount for a 3-month period, but I've seen it worse than this for shorter periods of time. So make sure you keep your water heater clean. So here's a hole where there's threads here where the anode rod screws in. So I'm going to take and I'm going to scrape this out. I have a little pick. I'm going to clean all that debris out, and I'm going to use a wire brush and clean that up. So I want to keep it clean there. And then on the end of the anode rod that screws into there, let's see if I can zoom in a little better. There we go. I'm going to take a pick and I'm going to scrape all this off and use a wire brush and clean it all up. So I'm going to go ahead and get those cleaned up right now with the wire brush and a pick. And then I'll put I'll put some wraps of Teflon tape around it afterwards. So as you can see, I got the threads all cleaned up, and I cleaned them up on this also, on the end of this anode rod. Clean this up. I cleaned this with a wire brush, and then I used another tool that I'll show you here. I'll zoom out. So I used on this in here, I use this. It's a plumbing cleaning brush. I'll make sure I have links to these products in the description below the video. So make sure you look for that. So you put it in, turn it, and then I flushed it out again to get all the little particles out. And then here, I used a wire brush on it, and then I put this tool in the drill, and then just cleaned it all up really nice. So let me zoom out for a minute and show you something. So this anode rod still has a lot left on it. You can actually use it until it's almost down to this little rod here. This rod is still solid. It's not ready to break off or anything, so it's still good. So I'll run this down quite a bit more. I'm not going to let it run down all the way down. This one's probably been in for 3 years, and it's pretty good. And we go camping every 2 weeks for about 3 days, and then we go on big trips, 30 to 40 day trips once a year. So this is what a new one looks like. You can see it goes all the way into here. So this is gone here. So you can see, I'm going to probably try and find a picture on the internet of what they look like at different stages of their life. And I'll sneak a picture in here after this little clip here so you can see what they look like. So this still has a lot. There's no reason to go ahead and go, wow, I'm going to change this every year. There's no reason to at all, unless you want to. I don't know, they're maybe $15, $20 each, so it's up to you, but I don't do that. So I'm going to go ahead. I left the tape off of here, and I'm going to do probably about, I don't know, I might do 6 or 8 wraps around it, and then when I put it in, if it feels like it's still loose in there, the threads, might pull it out, put a couple more wraps on it, because you don't want it to leak. So I'm going to go ahead and put the tape on, and then we'll go ahead and put it back in. Ready to go back in. So the trick to put this in is to find my tools. I'll be right back to you. Found them. So I'm going to just go ahead. I'm going to push this thing. See here, I hope I can show how this works. I'm going to keep a steady pressure on it and turn it, and you'll feel the teeth bite. It started now. If you keep steady pressure, keep it straight and not do it at an angle at all, it'll be fine. So then I'm going to go here, just hand tight, put my ratchet on here, and look at it. I have plenty of room here. My tape is still showing, threads are still showing. So I'm going to go ahead and cinch it up. Pretty tight. And then up here, I'm going to shut my pressure relief valve. Well, first I'm not going to do my pressure relief valve yet. I'm going to hook up my water to my city water connection right here, and I'm going to start filling the tank, and then the water will come out of here when it's full. So I'm going to hook my water up now. Alright, I got the city water hooked up. I'm going to turn it on. The water is going to go in here, and it's going to come out of here when it's full. So when you do this, you'll be able to hear air coming out of here. So it's going to take a few minutes, so I'll come back to you right when it starts coming out. So the water is starting to come out here. So I know the tank is full. I'm going to go ahead and turn my water off here. I'm going to shut it. I got it shut. I'm going to turn the water on for a minute. Like that. I heard the water stop going in. This isn't leaking. Sometimes if you ever have this pressure relief valve leaking, you can open and shut it a few times and it'll reseal there. So you want to make sure your water heater is full of water before you ever turn it on. Especially when you have you're heating it with electricity, you could burn up the element very quickly if there's no water in there. So make sure it's full. Here where I live, we camp every couple of weeks, like I said, so we don't ever leave the tank drained. I always keep water in it because we go out all the time. So some people out in the snow country, freezing weather, they probably drain their tanks, but I don't have to do that here. So that's up to you. Maybe some people can chime in on what they do. If they drain their tank every trip, pull the anode rod out and leave it out, or what. But I wouldn't leave the anode rod out because then spiders and different insects can go inside there. So let's zoom back out and I'll talk about this a little more. Well, here's all I used to do this work on this water heater and this project. So I'm going to put in the description below a link to each one of these products. So if you want to purchase one, go ahead, or take a look around, see if you can find something else, another place for a better price. But remember, this socket is 1 1/16" to take that off. And I always keep an extra anode rod around just in case this thing breaks down quickly, which it hasn't yet. So far we've had this trailer 7 years. So I appreciate everybody watching. Feel free to leave comments or ask questions below. I do my best to get back to everybody as quickly as possible. Or if you have any tips on ways to clean the water heater better than I've been doing, go ahead and feel free to comment on it in the YouTube video so others can read your comment in the future and see what you have to say about it. I like feedback. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, thumbs down. I appreciate it. And also, if you want, you can hit subscribe if you haven't done so already. When you hit subscribe, hit that bell icon and you'll be alerted of future videos that come out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care and happy camping.